noise, and guns, and we like doing that. I still enjoy it.
I know it's a really honored position within the police force. To be a SWAT cop is a huge thing.
It's really a very realistic viewpoint of what it is to be a SWAT officer in a city like Los Angeles today.
Top Gun meets High Noon. There's a reason why we got all these actors to come and do this. These guys were all cool actors. They get it, and they get what they're doing. They're all complex actors. They're all smart actors.
When you go to cast the roles, you really want people that can bring to life those characters. And the first person that we signed on to this movie was Sam Jackson. I couldn't think of anybody better to play Sergeant Dan Hondo Harrelson.
His character works to live. When you see his house and his living situation, there are no other people there. There's no wife, there's no kids. He's pretty much dedicated himself to the job. He's proud of his accomplishments as a cop, and he's proud of his team's accomplishments because of the way he's trained them.
Hondo is the cop's cop. Sam's character left under a cloud, and because he was a good cop and because the city needed him, he was asked back to his former glory. His nemesis in this plot line is the guy that used to partner with him, who's now his lieutenant. So he comes back to work for that guy, and he's asked to get a team together. That's what propels the story. So Sam is the catalyst for all that.
There's a correlation between me and Hondo and the way that I try and lead by example. It's incumbent upon me to set an example for these young actors by, showing up prepared, to show up with a great attitude, to enjoy the things I'm doing, to help them from time to time in terms of getting a shot and making it right, to show them that I really appreciate this job and I appreciate the opportunities that I get when I do this job.
Primarily the reason why I wanted to do this picture was to work with Sam Jackson, because I was just a huge admirer of his work and just a huge admirer of him as an actor, and I really just wanted to be on the same set as him.
One of the main reasons why I wanted to do this movie is to work with Sam. He was a big influence on me doing SWAT.
For me, working with Sam Jackson is just really special. He's become somewhat of a mentor to me in terms of just someone that I can be around, that I can kind of look to and, ask a couple of questions. He's a veteran.
He's a true professional. Shows up on set ready to work, and he's also very helpful. I mean, there's been many times where I've been stuck, and he's offered his advice and input, which has gotten me through. And he's just very smart and very talented man. Very helpful.
Brian's going to be, a major person in this industry, and I'm glad that I'm able to be a part of his development, as that. And hopefully, all the rest of these guys will feel the same way when they finish, working with me. That they learned something from me, like I learned something from them, just by watching them. And it's great to be around young guys. Makes you feel young.
He plays a kick-ass cool Hondo, huh?
And we needed somebody to play the Officer Jim Street role. Colin Farrell just felt like a great choice. He felt like a guy who could be the maverick, but could also be part of a team.
He's demoted, and the only reason that he can rise up above that again is because Hondo, Sam Jackson's character, comes back on the scene.
Am I looking at another day of show for duty?
Well, I do have one more spot. Think of anybody I might have overlooked?
It's a game or a test, Sergeant?
Could be a bit of both.
I'm a little old for games.
So how'd you like to be back on SWAT? I want you on my team.
He's always been involved in the armed forces, probably always wanted to be since he was a little kid, and for the right reasons, not for the power of having a gun, but just to do a little bit of good if you can, and to be busy doing it, and to be, liking the action and liking the danger aspect of it as well. But he's a pretty simple man who's happy with his apartment on the beach and, going for a jog with his dog every now and then and doing a bit of surfing and hanging out with a few beers.
Colin and I really worked a lot on backstory. When we met for the very first time before the film started, we got along right away and ended up being, soulmates in some sort of weird way. Like, distant family. We really didn't have to work on too much camaraderie when it came to the locker rooms. We really wanted to try to put in some sort of history there, so I think we really wanted to make it real. Really try to make it real.
Gamble's he ratted on. That's part of Gamble's troubles, is that he feels he was betrayed by his friend Street. Street is a damn good cop and a damn good SWAT officer, and he should be back on the force. He has to prove that they were wrong, he was right, and he belongs here. Colin, he's really become one of my favorite actors because he brings such truth to the work. LL has got great street cred anyway as a human being, and he brings that to his character too.
How you like that?
Suspect headed south, west of Defiance. One black male in Lakers purple.
What are you doing, Navy SEAL?
Put your hands behind your back.
Name's Hondo. If you like hard work, long hours, and getting dirty for low pay, I got an opening on my SWAT team.
How you like that?
I don't mind that at all.
Deke is a good cop, honest cop, strong son of a bitch. Just good SWAT material, good free thinker.
Deke is pretty simple. He's a SWAT cop who's very aggressive and believes in what he's doing, wants to protect the innocent, save people from harm's way, and he does everything he can to do that.
It's rare that these cops, SWAT guys, come into a situation that's not already volatile. So in order for them to deal effectively, they have to have good people skills too. Deke obviously has a rapport in the community.
Deke is a cool character. He gets to do a lot of cool things, jump over planes, shoot out of limousines. All of my childhood and boyhood fantasies came to fruition in this movie. So this is what we do for a living.
Hondo's going through the files and he sees Chris Sanchez. He says, "Well, this kick-ass cop. I'll go meet this guy and see if he's up to the job."
Hey, what do you need, Sarge?
Sanchez do that?
Mm-hmm.
I'm starting to like this Sanchez already. Spent 4 years in Metro, passed the SWAT class 3 times, been rejected by Fuller 3 times.
Bless you.
Ooh, sorry, wrong room.
What are you looking for?
Chris Sanchez.
I'm Chris Sanchez.
You're Chris Sanchez?
So Hondo goes to check out this Sanchez guy, and turns out to be this Sanchez woman who's just beat the stuffing out of a bad guy who was up to no good.
Sanchez's character is a female who came from Texas, and her lifestyle is pretty hectic when she arrives here in Los Angeles because she's pushed towards the ghetto while her parents are like finding a job or whatnot. And I think she just grew up seeing such, horrible things, because the crime out here is so bad. And it's really like no remorse, no mercy in the streets. So I think that kind of like inspired her to try to rise above that. I think that she just wanted to become a cop and make things a little better for her children,
It's always interesting to do a movie when there's one female character and there's like 8 guys. It must be very difficult, but Michelle is a fabulous, wonderful person who gets along extremely well with all of us.
Brian Van Holt and Josh Charles are 2 really smart, really thinking actors, and what they bring is, they bring the stuff that they're supposed to bring, which is, okay, I get this guy right now.
Foster is more of a seasoned cop compared to the other characters in the movie. He and TJ, they're returning SWAT officers.
I played TJ McCabe's veteran SWAT officer. He's a sniper, really good shot, really cocky, a bit greedy. TJ sort of gets involved with this plan with Gamble and decides to try to take Alex and get the money, and sells his soul to the devil in the process. But I think he sort of gets in and over his head. He wasn't expecting it to go down the way it did.
I think we are a great cast with very different energy, and it fits very well. Of my character. He's very dangerous, he's very famous, very well known all over the world. So I kill a couple of people. And they arrest me by accident, and in fact, I make an offer. It was quite interesting for the bad guys. I said, the guy who take me out of jail will make $100 million. $100 million!
The one bad guy, I had the fortuitous luck to make him French. And now we can look at the French again without talking about freedom fries and freedom kisses. And I've got a bad guy who's French. We can have some fun with it. Olivier Martinez plays the bad guy, and he's a great actor, and he's a very charismatic actor. And aside from being the heartthrob, he brings an element to it also that's more complex than the usual mustache twisting villain. He's got issues.
Why did he come to Los Angeles?
I will give $100 million to whoever gets me out of there.
$100 million?
We put on a week SWAT school for the actors with live fire. We taught them how to move tactically together as a team.
Not often that we get to, shoot live ammo or see if we really could hit a target if we were aiming at it.
I get paid to do a job that I would gladly do for free. The least you can do, I think, is prepare as hard as you can, and think about it as much as you can, and just do the work, and it's fun,
Each one of these guys really wanted to take on that role of being a modern-day SWAT officer. So the training was not only thrilling for these guys, but educational, and it was a way where we were able to let these guys bond together and actually become a real SWAT team.
It was a few weeks, and it was pretty intense. Randy, on-set SWAT guy, did a great job of just making sure that the movie has the realism of SWAT.
Where's the penetration point?
Up here at this wall. We're going to get to that here in 1 second. Let's put Michelle up here first. Now, Josh, when they go by this window here, as she passes, you'll pick the coverage up on the window, and then Sam will come around the corner as well.
It helps you understand these guys' jobs a lot better, and the amount of time and training it takes to be able to do things without thinking or to use your instincts.
So what has to happen is this cable has to be hooked up here.
Exactly.
Is it going to already be hooked up to that?
No.
So then he'll have the ability to hook it up. Just come up along with the truck, tactically. Go ahead and run it up here like this with the cable.
Yeah.
Snap it on, do it that way.
You didn't have anybody covering that window over there?
You learn the lingo, the clear, the section neutralized and all that, and you get the hand signals.
You won't even flinch because you'll have done this so many times that that's going to be a usual noise to you. So you're going to be standing right here. When that wall goes, just maintain your position here until it's time to go.
They talk about different entry tactics and all that kind of stuff, and weaponry that is used.
Find Michelle. Be right behind me, moving like this. All right?
We're coming around the tree.
Sam is going to go out here and grab the cable. And run the cable up. Right?
Visita mi
You
canal.
guys do this. You're just going to get this position right here, and they'll hit it.
We're actually doing what these guys do, and in certain moments like that, it's a little hairy.
They taught us how to clear a room, how to approach a suspect in a hostage situation.
Okay, you're first in the door. Oh, you're going second. We'll put you in.
They taught us just the procedures and how you would approach a situation, whatever that situation may be.
Bring them on in once. Okay, that way. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right up behind him. Let's let the shotgun go with him. Shotgun MP5. That'll be a better way to go. No, okay with you? You're going to hold that. So Michelle, you and Colin are going to come together. We're going to go into this room and clear it.
Where is Colin's position when I see him?
So
I'm coming in third, you're coming fourth.
Where are these guys at that time?
They're coming in this room.
Okay.
We had a great tech advisor, Randy Walker. He brought a team of guys that work with us.
What we're watching for is really, do they look like a real SWAT officer? Are they carrying the gun right? Are they looking in the right direction? Is their finger off the trigger? A lot of the little things that we've discussed with the actors since pre-production about how we do things. So we realize that they have marks and dialogue and other things other than SWAT to think about. So we're kind of there to help remind them if we see something that they need to do to help further that portrayal. Probably walk up and do one of these and then back here.
I think that's how we cut. That's how we cut you.
That's how we cut it this way?
No, that's how we cut this side. Pick it up over there.
I just spoke to these guys, the SWAT team members from Los Angeles, who are really on it. These guys are so focused and so by the book, it's not even funny. Gomez is a really cool guy. He's seen it all, man.
All these SWAT team members, Colin Farrell and Samuel L. Jackson, LL Cool J, and the other three, they were all very receptive to what we had to tell them. They would seek us out. Am I holding this gun right? Am I walking right? Am I shooting right? Am I carrying myself, equipment properly? They would come to us, and also when we sit back and watch them rehearsing, and we would say, hang on a second, try this or do this. We worked with all of them, just whatever you happen to see, we would go tell that person, or they would come to us, whoever they happen to see, but they were quick to catch on, and they They look good. They look good from what I saw.
I always want to make sure that we're giving an honest portrayal of the people who actually do the job that we're supposedly on film doing. So I'm constantly asking Randy, who's our major consultant, if we look legitimate, if what I'm saying is something that would actually be said, so that when police officers are watching the film, they can look at it and say, that's right.
But Sanchez wasn't over here?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. And she'll be the first to see the guy.
No, Sanchez is looking for the door.
She leave the door?
Well, what can happen is, as soon as this wall goes, we can put her into the fray. That's not a problem.
What I learned from these guys, SWAT, how they go about doing what they do, what training is involved, and that gives it a sense of realism.
Clark was so open, so concerned about making sure that everything was done authentic, and was always asking us questions and making sure that if things weren't done this way, that how should they be done, and he would change things to make sure they were right.
I come from a family full of cops, so after talking with Clark, I saw a lot of respect for the SWAT operator.
Trying to learn how to drive like an PD officer.
We gonna go-kart racing after this?
I've worked SWAT for about 16 years, from 81 to 97. The primary attribute that people are looking for is a hardworking police officer. They want to make sure that whoever they're picking is a dedicated, professional officer that's going to give 110% all the time.
My name's Lee McMillian, and I've been with SWAT for 7 years. For starters, it would have to be someone that's self-motivated, someone that knows what they want, that is willing to do all of the extra work that they're not going to be compensated for in recognition or monetarily.
My name's Mike Baker, and I've been on the SWAT team for almost 10 years. They're looking for people that are good with a handgun, good with weapons, physically fit.
Our training cycle is ongoing and progressive. It's a series of tests along the way, because there's not one incident that's going to incorporate all of the disciplines that we train in to work SWAT.
We also have a lot of training that we do as far as movement, covert movement, which is entering a building and trying to locate a suspect who's hiding and trying to do that as quietly as possible.
There's a lot of training involved, but in my own personal opinion, you can train forever, but nothing compares with an actual situation.
I don't remember what my first call-up was, but I do remember that I was glad to get it.
Mount up! We got the call. You know what they say, you're either SWAT or you're not. Let's try to get in the killing mode.
I am in killing mode.
So why are you smiling?
Because it tickles me.
It's kind of funny. I watched the trailer to the movie, and I remember Michelle Rodriguez says, "What's the real thing like?" And I think Colin Farrell's response is a lot faster. And that's kind of a pretty accurate perception of what's going on out there.
What's it like, the real thing?
It's faster. 60 guys that train together, that work together constantly, that are engaged in life-threatening situations on a daily basis in the city of Los Angeles. So there's a very tight bond there within the SWAT team.
It's a great group of people. And when the pager goes off or the phone call comes in, everything gets dropped, and it's all one group of people trying to solve a problem.
I think I work with 60 of the finest men on the planet. And we spend so much time together in everything we do. It is very much like family.
This is a tactical SWAT vest, level 3A, which is top of the line. The pouches where officers would carry their different equipment are interchangeable. It's Velcro and snap, so a person can change it around so they can move comfortably and get to the things that they need. These are magazine pouches for ammo. Just a variety of utility pouches that fit different magazines for the weapons. Radio would go on the back. So that's pretty much it. It just depends on the individual officer and how they would want it to set up.
I can't believe that they do the things they do wearing their vests. It's hard for me to walk, more or less like run and jump and shoot and crawl through spaces and maneuver. It's incredible.
The front third of our truck is all crisis negotiation equipment. Our negotiators are going to try and resolve it peacefully using a hardline phone, or what we call a throw phone, which has like, I don't know, 1,000 feet of cord, and you can literally throw that phone through the suspect's window and give them a way to talk to our negotiator.
This is Chris from the LAPD.
The SWAT truck holds all of the specialized equipment that is just too big or too cumbersome for us to keep on ourselves, whether it's additional munitions or climbing gear, you know, caving ladders or poles. Computers so that we can find out who we're talking to, criminal history, tear gas, flashlights, communications. It just goes on and on.
This is not the kind of group that you want to challenge or, you know, I would suggest you surrender and, you know, live a rich and fulfilling life.
It's just a really gritty, exciting, popcorn-type movie, but with the reality of what it is to be a SWAT officer in LA.
It's an action film. Grand.
For a bunch of bad guys sitting around, $100 million is, you know, worth the risk. You will be ready for anyone and anything.
We put together all of the sound, the dialogue, the sound effects, the Foley, the ADR, and organize it in a way that it can all be mixed together and come up with a final track for the film, SWAT.
I realize the contribution of sound is enormous. So as soon as I get a sequence together, I would send it to Cameron.
One of the main objectives with SWAT was to create these guns that were comfortable to listen to, that weren't high and brittle and hurt. You wanted the lower resonance to hit you, and you wanted to feel that concussion. First thing to do was figure out a new way to record guns. Guns in the history of Hollywood have always been in this development process. With every action movie that's made, they're always trying to develop a new way of recording and creating a gun sound. We worked very closely with Clark Johnson, the director, and Michael Tronick, the picture editor. Clark was really interested in keeping it really organic and natural, so we looked into recording with different microphones. One of the microphones that we used was a drum microphone, which has a very quick response. Just maybe a shot over here, shot that direction. We contacted someone who had all of the guns that we were looking to record. He opens his trunk and it's just chocked full of guns and ammunition. We found two locations. One of the locations was a flat desert location that had no reflections, just so the sound would just dissipate. And then another location was the bottom of a mountainside, upon which we got some terrific reflections. And what was interesting is that you would hear it kind of sweep across and then hit the mountain behind us and then come back. So it kind of had this circular pattern to it. We recorded 8 channels of audio using different sets of microphones that all had different purposes. We had Shep's microphones that have great clarity. We had a stereo PZM microphone, which had just a great whomping bottom end to it. These drum microphones with a very tight response, and recorded everything on individual tracks. And then that allowed us to get back into the studio and audition and tweak each sound individually to come up with the ultimate gunshot for SWAT. Besides recording the guns, it was important to get a sense of the city and some events that weren't necessarily on camera, background events and such.
In this scene, our job was to create all the offstage events in surround sound. Bill Benton, Jeff Habush, and myself worked together to pan and shift the sound effects according to how the camera moved. In other words, as the camera rotates 360 degrees, the sound rotates 360 degrees in the opposing direction, giving the scene a realistic feel. First, I will play for you just the offstage gun battle. You can hear the bank robbers' AK-47s and the police officers' pistols. Now I will play for you the entire effects stem. Be aware of how the sound of the helicopter accelerates away as the incoming police siren rises in pitch, giving us the transition to the rooftop.
The greatest challenge is A, coming up with the great sounds for each moment, and B, achieving the articulation so that it holds up through the dialogue, the story, and the music. SWAT, the opening sequence, the whole movie, we hit our mark.
How wide is the 6th Street Bridge?
It's got to be 4 lanes across, sidewalks. Plane small enough, he might be able to set it down if he's got the balls.
Clark wanted to come up with a more dramatic ending, and he asked me to suggest some ideas of where a plane might land if we went with that type of an ending. So I opened up a book called Above Los Angeles and started to think from the air. If I was a pilot flying around and I had to put a plane down, or I wanted to put a plane down, where would I do that? And there's a great shot of the 6th Street Bridge in downtown Los Angeles, and I realized that if you made your approach from the east over the barrio and you came into the 6th Street Bridge, which is about 3,000 feet long, that you would end up with all your subsequent scenes with the city of Los Angeles as your backdrop.
We never really thought about trying to land on the bridge. We had contemplated doing some approaches, and legally we had the room to do that, but because it would only give us one piece in the puzzle, we elected to go ahead and do it all CG.
Well, in the Lear landing on the bridge sequence, the idea was to land a Lear jet on a very long but not long enough bridge. Actually, there's really no way you could do that in the real world. The benefit of doing it in CG is you can do multiple takes on it without putting anybody's life in jeopardy.
Our effects animator, Clay Dale, came up with an ingenious idea of taking a flight simulation program, flying the plane as if it's virtual world, and then exporting that animation out to our computer animation package. What it gave was a very realistic feel to the airplane, and so we had a very organic and very real feeling flight of the airplane.
This is a quick breakdown of the elements that we rendered for the Lear landing shot, and the very first thing you'll see is the live plate. This was the original shot. It has a crane in it. And the next step you'll see, it's the live sequence with the wireframe airplane on it and a reference object that represents the bridge. This next pass is the diffuse pass of the plane, and that represents the color information and some of the shading information on the plane. Another element we rendered is the light and the reflection pass. Actually, this is 2 passes blended into one. Another element is the reflection of the Learjet on the bridge itself. This was the volumetric smoke of the wheels hitting the pavement. And this is the final composite. You'll see that the camera shake adds a lot of excitement.
From touchdown on, it was shots that were done of the special effects aircraft. The 6th Street Bridge is a main traffic artery. I think we could shut it down at 7:30 at night, and we couldn't go beyond 5 a.m. It didn't give us a lot of time, because that meant that you couldn't really move onto the bridge until 7:30. By the time you moved onto it and got a first shot, it was time for lunch. We shot pretty much in continuity. We had to, because of the deterioration of the aircraft, which was on-screen deterioration. I mean, once it crashed and certain pieces came off, it would have been really hard to go back. It was a big sequence, and there's a chase that precedes the crash.
There'll be gunfire from the limo coming at us.
Said recipe for disaster complete.
After we shot the crash, then we had to keep that alive and looking realistic, and that involved sliding this fuselage with pieces flying off of it and fire coming out of wings and the sparks under the belly, and continuing on down the bridge for another several hundred yards. We assumed that at that point the plane's probably in real time going something like 100 miles an hour. At that point, we started to put cameras in crash boxes.
This camera is a crash housing. It has a wide lens. It's a $500 housing. It's a $200,000 camera. That's what $500 does a lot for $200,000. That's why they have the crash housings. Also, the main thing is to protect the film.
We drug the airplane with 2 trucks, side by side. One was hooked onto more the nose and one was hooked onto the back, and it allowed the airplane with that to kind of, as it's coming toward you, to kind of have that kind of movement, which we thought added a little more realistic flavor to it. In all the takes we did, we ran over a lot of cameras. I think we only damaged one. I mean, we shot multiple cameras. We had 5 cameras almost all the time. And it takes what it takes, and you shoot until you get what you want.
It's like an infinite Rubik's Cube. There's no obvious solution sometimes, but when you do crack it, you know, it's pretty exciting.
It's just a great overall feeling at the end to see it actually on film and on screen.
I'm really happy with the way it turned out.
The opening sequence in the film was based on the North Hollywood shootout.
It was a horrific moment in LA history. Clark wanted to make it as real as possible.
There were really no rules. It was just to try to create terrifying aspects of a very serious bank robbery.
It was really important to set the tone for the movie, to say, okay, this is a reality-based movie. This is based on a real event.
I was there the moment we started filming, and the movie really started off with a bang.
In terms of the planning of the shootout, we tried to keep true to what had actually happened to these guys. Black and whites pulled up on the scene, and they were immediately outgunned. And they called for backup, and as the poster says, even the cops call 911. It's not a PG-13 world they work in. Clark wanted to kind of make it really gritty, kind of down and dirty, as he liked to call it. We overcranked camera speeds a lot of the time with the helicopters, which slows their rotors down. You know, he wanted to make it look like it was being shot by a news crew, basically. Like it was almost like news footage. So when you're outside, you get that, you know, herky-jerky camera, you know, extreme zoom-ins, zoom-outs. Then inside, when you're with the robbers and our 2 SWAT guys coming in, it's more of the classical filmmaking where, you know, it's not that. And he wanted those 2 different extremes.
Everything was mixed and matched. I had ground, surface-to-surface cameras, air-to-air, air-to-ground, so there's a great variety.
It was all a choreographed kind of orchestrated mayhem. Basically, our plan of attack was on Saturday and Sunday to do all the exterior work, to have full closure of the streets, all the low-flying helicopters. We couldn't do that during the week. From there, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, the plan was to start with the Colin and Jeremy coming in from the roof and trying to do that as much as in sequence as possible.
And by doing that, we were able to film this sequence in order, start to finish, just to keep the continuity of it.
We had like 50 setups our first day. Yeah. Put the fear of God in that crew.
It was clear we were going to have to find an abandoned bank or an abandoned building that looked like a bank, because any real bank will not let you film there, number one, let alone, you know, do gunfire and helicopters flying low. And we ended up in Lincoln Heights, which is like on North Broadway, just over the LA River, kind of below Pasadena. It was a perfect location for us, really.
They were really happy to have us filming in their neighborhood. There's not a lot of filming goes on over there. I would say 2 weeks before shooting, basically all our focus went to the bank. Originally, it wasn't going to be the first thing we were going to shoot, because they were going to blow it up eventually. We had to shoot it first. And actually, I'm very glad we did, because you could really prep it. And we could shoot it up, put squib hits wherever we wanted, basically do whatever we wanted to it. And I tell you, that's a rare thing to have. The planning of that, because it was the first thing we did, was more elaborate. We actually got to go there and rehearse and walk it through. We knew exactly where every car was going to be, where every person was going to be, and where every helicopter was going to be.
We're doing rehearsal with everything. We were very lucky to find it and very happy with the way it turned out.
The opening sequence is the first time we established the SWAT vehicle. The SWAT van in the TV show was like an old bread truck. Even as a little kid, I remember looking at this, look at that truck. Who's driving that thing around? But this SWAT truck is the mother of all SWAT trucks. It was good and bad, the SWAT vehicle. It looked great, and it was a really cool design. It's great, but had a lot of mechanical problems because it's not the SWAT vehicle that they use. We specifically designed it for our movie to make it look cool. Took a brand new fire truck and rebuilt it. And so it's this big high-tech truck with the stuff that they would like to have.
guess the big logistic problem we had was flying helicopters at a low level.
Flying like a military helicopter below 200 feet in a populated area is not normally done. We had to get over 500 signatures from neighbors and businesses in order to do what we did there.
My perspective of Los Angeles, being from New York, is some camera angle from way above looking down at some catastrophic event or some car chase. And so I mastered from above a lot. So a lot of the big wide shots were from the helicopter. So it's pretty elaborate up there. It's a pretty big dance in the air.
Is that the way it goes? Yeah, we'll have to get maybe Randy or Steve.
Another part of my job as an AD is safety, guns, and all that. And Mike Papik, our weapons guy, who's fantastic.
Prior to filming, we spent a week with the entire cast where everybody got to shoot each individual weapon. They shot the M4, their handguns, the shotguns, the MP5s. They all shot them all.
It was important to me that if we're going to portray these guys, I want them to be as real as they can. You know, being an actor myself, it's always important to me that the behavior is bang on.
Now I want you to come to low ready for me. Pop up in the position. Bam. There you go. We will work with each individual actor for their stance, their shooting positions, you know, how they should be holding the gun and all that kind of stuff. So they look like they know what they're doing with the weapons.
Our actors really worked hard to get that training up so they looked the part.
The wardrobe in the film, as far as the SWAT clothing is concerned, is identical to the clothing worn by the real SWAT officers. In fact, I think the actors gained an appreciation for how it felt to have to wear all the clothing.
That stuff that they wear keeps them alive. It's also hot and heavy. It's like 70 pounds.
They really got into it, and I think they really gained an appreciation for not only the role they were going to be playing, but for the real SWAT officers as well. These guys all did a great job, from the weapons and the wardrobe, and all of it was very well done.
I think initially my goal editorially was to kind of reach out and grab the audience by the throat and say, don't go out for popcorn. Sit down and stay in your seat, because what you're about to see is going to be really compelling.
All the officers are pinned down by automatic gunfire.
What Michael Tronick had done is gotten the actual police calls during that event, and that set the tone for the intro of the film. That was then transcribed and reperformed by actors.
I wanted a visceral reaction. There's no way you can hide the terror of a dispatcher realizing that there are guys with AK-47s shooting at police officers who are terribly outmanned.
I think the way Clark shot it and the way Michael put it together, there was a lot of tension in that opening sequence.
It was editorially a very challenging sequence because of all the different formats and the tremendous amount of footage, and still tell a story because that's when our heroes are introduced.
I kind of like to mix it up when I shoot. Whatever's fitting for the scene.
So in the midst of creating this very gritty documentary feel, we've still got major motion picture movie stars that are being introduced into the story.
The point of this movie was, these guys have to make a life and death decision, and a decision was made in that bank that impacted the rest of the movie. So it was really important that we told the story as accurately as we could.
SWAT, the opening sequence, the whole movie, I'm extremely proud of it.
The pace of this picture probably aged me a couple years in 1 year.
What I saw was everything Clark had wanted it to be.
SWAT was really important in that scenario, so it seemed the perfect opportunity to talk about what those guys are thrust into every day. And we were up on this bridge in the plane. We have a Learjet, and the Learjet was already sideways where it ends up. There's a big stretched limo, and so we pretty much got the bridge covered. There's enough room on either side. There's about that much room on either side for a car to squeeze through. And we get a report from our PAs down at the bottom of the bridge who are blocking traffic that there's a high-speed chase coming our way. Come on. No, a real high-speed chase coming your way. And there's the helicopters up there, you know, because this is being LA, you know, they're there watching. So we look up and see the helicopters, they are in fact coming towards us. And then this car full of a bunch of kids who had stolen this car comes flying past our unit. It was hilarious. Then about 15 police cars came through that narrow gap like Blues Brothers.
Just take air off. Oh, he's going to go right through. Oh, he almost hits the plane.
Will you take air off of Freak 5, please? I don't need air. I don't need air.
I tried to figure out a way to incorporate it into our film. I couldn't quite do it.
SWAT, the 1970s television series that inspired the movie, is now available on DVD.
TV show back in the days was really cool.
It had a tremendous impact. It was very controversial.
There were 5 guys working in adventure and excitement and action.
We were all fans of the television show from the 70s, and this is a movie that's inspired by that show.
SWAT is elite. We're very particular about who joins the fraternity. When it's big, when it's emergency, when it's unique, that's when we're called in.
SWAT was on ABC for a season and a half, 39 episodes, mid-70s, like 75, 76.
Let's go.
On SWAT, you always had, some like crazy psycho Satan group or whatever, plotting world domination and destruction. And the Special Weapons and Tactics Force would have to swing into action to stop them from taking over the city, the county, the state, the country, the world. Hondo, as they called him. I remember as being this kind of can-do, macho, cool guy that everyone had to relate to.
Take this man where I can't see him before I kick his butt around the block and halfway back to Missouri.
He was always the guy that, no matter what they said, Sergeant, they're taking over the city. We're all doomed. And he would be like, screw them.
Let's get it on.
And he would just squint his eyes like John Wayne and throw a few fireballs their way, and that would be that. You gotta love a guy like that.
There's a key to all this somewhere, and I want to latch onto it fast.
SWAT, I think, had the greatest penetration with the audience of any piece of work that I did.
This is the police. Throw down your gun and come out with your hands on your head.
It hit the ratings like a bomb, and it was #1 first week and thereafter.
He's coming at you, Deke. He's all yours.
One of the first things I hear from him is, are you Deke? You're Deke? That's so good. Making the show, we had a lot of fun.
My name's Harrelson.
James Street. Robert Urich, it was great because he fit in perfectly on this show because he had that sort of macho hunk way about him.
Will they catch him?
If he's still around, they'll find him. I think what struck a chord with TV audiences in SWAT was we had very clearly delineated bad guys and very clear good guys. And, the good guys were putting their butts on the line. With SWAT, you knew there was some serious stuff going down.
I don't want to hurt anyone, but I got an old lady in here. And if you make me, I'll waste her right here on the spot.
And we related to the, kind of the cavalry riding in to save the day.
I want you to find yourself a vantage point up there. Lay in a few rounds. Not too close. Don't risk hitting Janet.
I think it had some impact on crime dramas to the extent that it allowed us to see bullets being fired more so than just, cop shows prior to that.
You didn't have to come in shooting. We had the situation under control.
I had to. He was going to kill a hostage. I had to nail him.
Most of the hour dramas were so sanitized that you couldn't even get through them without laughing. This one, at least, had a little bit of violence.
There were several organizations that were concerned about violence on television. Our show had become targeted for it. They felt that SWAT was part of a wider picture of violence that was harming the country. I respected that. In fact, as the father of 3 young sons, my heart was with them on this. But I felt that they were wrong about our show.
It's a pretty hairy shot, but I can make it if I have to.
Well, with any luck, you may not have to. We're going to try to talk him out.
I don't think it was violent. I didn't look at it from a violent point of view. I looked at it from the point that we had to do a job.
Who's ever inside has got a gun. He's taking pot shots at the fireman.
It was a really new type action show.
Police, stand where you are.
And it didn't try to make its reputation on blood and gore.
If you've got a beef, You're not going to solve it inside there with a gun.
If you were to watch a couple episodes of SWAT today, I think you'd think, oh my God, what was the big deal? You never really saw much blood. It was all very cartoony and, you know, chaos, more so than real, anything even close to raw violence.
If you stay in there, you're going to get fried. That's why I set the fire!
This would be the mildest show on television now, were it to come on today into prime time.
Listen, you cops out there, you just better stop what you're doing, okay?
Gentlemen, we have a hostage situation. It's called Pritchard.
It was canceled before its time to some degree. It looked like it had at least a 4 or 5 year run in it, but I think whoever was tramping down on shows at the time, thinking this is way too violent, we can't be giving this to the populace. And I'm sure that some pressure was exerted on ABC and on the producers to get rid of this show, so they had to cancel it.
When I was a real little boy, we used to, pretend that, we were on a SWAT team and stuff like that, and, it was TJ and Luke and Deke and this one and that one, and it was pretty cool.
When I was a kid, SWAT was a favorite show of mine. I used to have all the outfits. I have a picture of me in my SWAT vest when I was a kid that I bought, and my brother used to play it.
Continue the perimeter until you've locked in on the others.
Roger.
The theme song is what I really remember best.
I hope it's a terrific theme.
Da-da-da, da-da-da.
Dun-dun-dun.
Na-na-na,
What we have here is the MP5A2 submachine gun. It's made by Heckler & Koch. It's known as the best 9mm submachine gun on the market today. It's used by more police departments as a 9mm subgun and by more military and law enforcement agencies than any other 9mm submachine gun on the market. What's particular to this weapon that LAPD uses is it has a surefire forearm light, which allows them to illuminate dark places when they go into a dark room or something. Also, it has the Navy trigger group, which is a ambidextrous trigger group. It has controls on this side and on the other side. You can manipulate the controls with either right or left hand. It has pictograms for safe, no bullets, semi, 1 bullet, or many bullets, full auto. What I'm going to do right now is I'm going to load this weapon. I'm going to shoot a few rounds semi, and then I'm going to shoot a few bursts full, and then I'll reload and shoot a lot full. And that's that. This is a Kimber. It's a .45 automatic. Kimber made this special gun for them. It's called a LAPD SWAT Custom 2. LAPD SWAT decided to go with the Kimber after years of using their 1911 and Colt government models that they customized. They decided to go with a factory customized gun. It has a few nice little features on it with the checkered front strap and magazine housing, and has serrations in the front so you can cock it from the front to press check it. Also has serrations in the back to cock it. Adjustable trigger. They've been very, very lucky with them so far. They really, really like them, and they're very, very happy with them. Anyway, I'm going to throw a few rounds downrange here, and we'll see how much we like it. There it is. This is a AKM fully automatic machine gun. This particular model is a Mahdi made in Egypt. It's the same one we use in the show. The AKM is probably the most prolific firearm in the world. It was imported in large numbers into the United States, not in full automatic, but in semi-automatic. This particular model is full automatic. It has safe, full auto, and semi-auto modes. I'm going to load it up with a 75-round drum magazine, and I'll shoot a few rounds semi-auto, and then I'll shoot a few rounds full auto. And now I'll switch to full auto. That's hot enough to brand yet.
This is a Colt M4A1 that shoots a .223 round.
Stand by! Ready!
It's a little bit louder than the MP5. It does shoot a different bullet than the MP5.
The main difference between this gun and the older style M16s is this one has a removable carry handle, actually. The carry handle has a ACOG scope mounted on it. It also lets you easily remove that scope and put any other optics or anything else you'd like to put on it. Their weapons are equipped with a Surefire M500 forearm light, which allows you constant, momentary, and it even has real dim running lights to go down dark alleys or hallways or whatever where you don't need to really illuminate the hallway. Other than that, that's basically the package.
A lot of things that we did with the actors, this is called the low ready position. So we teach them the low ready position because this is the position that the LAPD SWAT team uses when we carry the weapon around looking for suspects. The reason we use this position is it allows us to see what's in front of us without having the gun up here in this position all the time. It only takes a second to go from this position to this position. So let's go ahead and put a couple down range. Weapon's on safe. Now the weapon's on semi-automatic. Then the weapon's on full automatic. This is full automatic. And go ahead and lock it back and put it on safe.
On January 12, 2003, the cast and crew of the movie SWAT took a much-needed break from filming. After 2 months of breathtaking stunts, action-packed gunplay, and explosions, the movie makers were given their most dangerous props yet: golf clubs.
Welcome to Santa Clarita, California and the beautiful Robinson Ranch Country Club. We're here to bring you all the action at the first and only annual SWAT Cast and Crew Golf Tournament. Hello, Rodney.
Hello, Bob. The sun may be shining, but the stars are out today. There's Michelle Rodriguez arriving, fresh and ready for action. And for my money, there's nothing that says cool like Sam Jackson in a bucket hat.
You know, Rodney, people might not know this, but Sam is actually an excellent golfer. Here he is on the practice green.
If I know Sam, and I don't, he's pulling a classic psych out here. When he intentionally misses these putts, he lulls his opposition into a false sense of security. Brilliant gamesmanship already.
Sam's so competitive by nature, he's even trying to screw up the swing of one of his opponents.
Nice touch, Sam. He just gets right inside their heads, doesn't he? Now, let's go over to the organizers for some of the ground rules of the event.
Today we're going to have a shamble format. It's either going to be a 4 or 5 man. Everyone's gonna hit a tee shot off the tee, select the best one from there, and everybody will play their own ball in from the tee shot.
Well, that's fairly
And
straightforward.
we're gonna figure out the handicaps in the golf shot.
Right then, we've got it.
So if we
Let's just-
get everybody to report their carts, we're gonna start here in a couple minutes.
It's about time. Gentlemen and Michelle, start your engines.
I told you, I got lost already.
Guys. This way.
And I guess that's why they call it a shamble format.
While these guys do laps in their golf carts, let's go out to the first tee and see some of the golf action.
Director Clark Johnson is teeing off, and it looks like he's looking for some last-minute pointers. Let's see if they do him any good.
I'm supposed to be right straight, perpendicular to my dick, right?
Apparently not.
Where are you on? I hate golf.
Let's continue on to Sam Jackson's group as they start their first hole, where we've got tournament director Alan Apone teeing off.
That's something else to admire about Sam Jackson. He's not afraid to have the tournament director in his group, even though it might look suspicious if he wins.
And Alan hits it long and hard from the tee.
Sam is a regular fixture on these movie crew golf tournaments. In fact, he's still recovering from the Star Wars Episode 2 tournament, where he lost to the guy in the R2-D2 costume.
Oh! That's the one we're using. True equality.
Their next golfer, Robert, also hits it low, straight, and long.
Sam Jackson's group is looking good. Let's check out some of the other golfers.
Michelle Rodriguez. In the movies, she's been a boxer and a surfer, so you know she's athletic.
She's also been a taxi driver and a flesh-eating zombie. Michelle's playing partner today is Krista Hartling.
Let's see if she does any better.
Yeah!
Apparently not.
All right then, we're moving on. Sam Jackson and his group are on the green at 11.
Well, at this point, I'd have to say that was predictable.
1, 2, 3, 4. You got 2 strokes. Oh, it's -1. It's a bird. It's a birdie. It's a bird.
There's one more of Sam Jackson's copious talents, creative golf scorekeeping.
Let's check back with Michelle Rodriguez.
Who appears to be at the same hole where we left her.
See, that's why older people are really good at this sport. Because it's all about patience. Something that I lack at 24 years old.
Nice try, Michelle, but at 24 years old, Tiger Woods had already won 3 majors. You're going to have to come up with a better excuse than that.
And speaking of excuses, this guy needs one.
Now, there's the body of a man who has eaten free food on a movie set for the last 2 months.
And we're back to the par 5 12th hole. Sam Jackson with a 5-iron.
Yes, smoke a rookie. Oh, get out of there. I got out of the way. Come back, baby. There it is. Down. I saw it bounce. Come on down. Might be on the green.
It will be by the time he puts it on a scorecard.
And we're back to Michelle Rodriguez, who's still on the 9th.
Frankly, you know, I'm exhausted just watching her.
She's done a boxing movie and a surfing movie, but obviously not a golf movie.
Am I doing something wrong here?
I just want to know if we can get prizes or awards for, most balls on the road, most balls on the water, most balls in the bush. We got to get something for that.
I feel like I'm going Easter egg hunting. This sucks. I don't like this game.
Now on to the 17th green with Sam Jackson's group.
Has anybody made a single putt all day?
No, but we've only been watching for 3.5 hours. There's always a chance.
Get in there.
Now Sam's left himself here with a 4-footer. It's been breaking left to right all day long. My guess, he's going to miss it and mark down on the scorecard that he made it.
I wouldn't bet against it.
Stop the presses. He made the putt.
I think we tally this up. We might be going home with some hardware.
That putt may have just won Sam Jackson's foursome this whole tournament. Well, that and along with several mulligans and the fact that their foursome has 5 players, including the tournament director who makes the rules.
Been a long day, but an enjoyable one.
Alan, Sam's teammate and the tournament director, is about to announce the winner.
The winning team score 40 also goes to Jackson Stevens.
I practiced and I prayed. Some things come true. Thank you so much.
Well, folks, there you have it from the beautiful Robinson Ranch Golf Club here in Santa Clarita. Thanks for joining us. I hope you enjoyed our tournament coverage and hope to see you again soon, as long as there's a sequel.